Let's bring in attorney Misty Marris, attorney and Florida prosecutor Dave Berg to feel both sides of this case, okay? All right, a couple ones. Mr. Berg, while I understand your articulation of the elements here that can lead it into criminality, were you impressed with this line of cross-examination that you have a lot of hobbies, so now you're a criminal?
Good to be with you, Chris, and Misty as well. I only thought it was important because she made it a point by saying she was a helicopter parent, that she was a hyper-vigilant parent, when nothing could be further from the truth. And one way to show it is that you cared more about your horses than you cared about your son. You're out there with your lover gallivanting around, and you neglected your son.
But how is that even a legal case, Dave? You know, it's such an opinion. How does that manifest itself in the law? It's one thing if you're critiquing the parenting, fine. But in terms of a matter of law, I think you spent too much time doing things other than with your kid. Where does that exist as a prima facie case for criminality?
It all depends on the word foreseeability. That's the trouble prosecutors are going to have, is to try to show that it was foreseeable that her neglectful conduct towards her son would lead to a tragedy like this. So if you combine it all, the neglectfulness, the fact that she LOL'd her son when he was looking up ammunition, the fact she and her husband bought him a gun and then trained him how to use it. They were neglectful how to keep it in the house. And then the worst thing of all is when the son drew out what he was going to do, a school massacre.
Right.
They didn't even tell the school that he had access to a gun, didn't check his book bag, and didn't take him home.
Right. Misty, I want to play another piece of sound, but first give me a quick response to a quick question. That analysis doesn't exist in any other context unless there is a known duty to the same. Does that exist with a parent? Are you different than anybody else who may be aware or unreasonably unaware of somebody's criminal potential?
Yeah, Chris, you're hitting the nail on the head, and that's really what it is in this case, because you have to prove that there was a duty, that there's a special duty between the two, and that's going to be a threshold issue. You're going to see that in the jury instructions when this case moves forward. And I think Dave made a lot of good points, but I'm with you, Chris. Prosecution spent way too much time on the cross talking about these things like how much money you spend on a hobby and how much time you spend on a hobby. And reasonable minds are going to differ about what's right. And that's not something that's written in the law. There's not a legal standard.
Right.
So
See, that's my concern.
Way too much.
My concern. Yeah. First of all, Misty, never be with me on anything. Never. It's always dangerous. Always dangerous. Second, I just don't know that we've articulated a standard. And I know that it feels right for a lot of people, but if there is no existing legal standard, no law that was breached, how will the jury feel? And to your point, Misty, and to Berg and all prosecutors' disadvantage, it only takes one. If there's one juror who says, morally, I get it, legally, I don't, this is over unless they want to retry it. All right, stay.